wishing you all a day full of energy and new discoveries. Welcome to our shared home, Unlocking Inner Peace, where we share secrets to keep our souls at ease and make life more meaningful. I'm your companion, and today, we'll together hold a magical mirror to reflect upon one of the biggest illusions, an invisible companion that yet has an incredibly powerful influence on all our thoughts, emotions, and actions. That is the illusion of a fixed, unchanging self. In the previous episode, we unleashed our minds, together, breaking rigid prejudices that block peace. And today, we will continue to dig even deeper to identify and overcome an even more subtle attachment, a belief that there is some I entity existing solidly, unchangeably, inside or outside our physical body. This attachment, according to wise masters, is one of the primary sources leading to much anxiety, fear, and disappointment in life. Sounds a bit mind-boggling, doesn't it? How can there be no me? I am listening, feeling right here. Don't worry, we won't deny your existence. Instead, we will explore together how this self we often identify with is actually formed, and why recognizing its non-fixed nature can open a door to unexpected freedom and peace. So, are you ready to look into this magical mirror with me? Let's begin this fascinating journey together. Part 1. The reflection in the mirror. Identifying manifestations of clinging to the self. Before we can overcome the illusion of a fixed self, it's important to identify the ways this attachment manifests in daily life. It's like wanting to clean a smudge on a mirror. First, you have to clearly see where the smudge is. This attachment to a seemingly unchanging self can appear in many different forms, very subtle, and sometimes we don't even realize it. Belief in a fixed soul or essence within the ego. This is a fairly common belief that there is a core I entity, a separate, unchanging soul, existing independently within this physical body. We think, I am that entity, and it will always be so, no matter how the body or circumstances change. Example, a person might think, even if I become old and sick, my true self, my soul will remain unchanged. Or when facing difficulties, they tell themselves, my nature is strong, I will overcome this. While this belief might offer temporary comfort, if it's too rigid, it can hinder the acceptance of life's inevitable changes. Identifying I with this physical body ego, this is a very clear form of attachment. We assume this body is I. I am this hair, this skin, this physique. When the body is healthy, beautiful, we feel proud, happy. When the body is sick, old, or unattractive, we feel sad, disappointed, even desperate, as if our very self is diminishing, being destroyed. Example, someone is very proud of their youthful, attractive appearance. When signs of aging begin to appear, wrinkles, gray hair, they feel extremely anxious, try every means to hold on to youth, and feel their self-worth diminishing. They have identified I with that physical beauty. Or a talented athlete believes they have an innate talent for sports, and they will always be a great athlete. They identify I with that superior physical ability. However, a person's talent is a product of practice and training, and it can change over time. If this person gets injured or ages, they may no longer be a great athlete. In that case, if the attachment to the athlete self is too strong, they will feel extremely let down and lost. Identifying I with the stream of consciousness, with these thoughts and emotions, mind ego, we also often tend to assume that the thoughts, emotions, and ideas occurring in our minds are I. I am thinking this, so I am this kind of person. I am feeling sad, so I am a sad person. Example, when someone has negative, self-deprecating thoughts, I'm so incompetent, I can't do anything right. They might believe that this is their true nature, that I am a failure. They get stuck in those very thoughts without realizing that thoughts are just mental phenomena that come and go, not a fixed self. Or when someone is feeling very happy, euphoric, they might think, this is the real me, always optimistic, life-loving. But when that joy passes, replaced by other emotions, they feel let down, as if that happy self has disappeared. Belief that we own things external to ourselves, possessions. Mine, this is a very common form of attachment that causes much affliction. We not only cling to this self within, but also to things of mine outside. My property, my reputation, my relationships, my children, my lover, my friends, my opinions, my achievements. We consider these things as an extension of the self, and feel our self-worth is tied to possessing or not possessing them. Example, someone is very proud of their luxurious house. When that house is damaged, or when they have to sell it for some reason, they feel as if they've lost a part of themselves, that their social status has diminished. Or someone highly values my opinion. When that opinion is refuted by others, they feel as if they themselves are being attacked and try to defend that opinion at all costs, even if it's no longer appropriate. The belief that we will always be happy is also a form of attachment to the self and mine. We might believe I deserve to be happy, and that this happiness must be mine, must always be with me. However, happiness is a psychological state, and it is influenced by many external factors that are always changing. If we encounter difficulties in life, we may no longer feel happy, and the attachment to happiness must be mine will cause us more suffering. You see, attachment to a fixed self, in whatever form, is like trying to hold flowing water in your hand. The water keeps flowing away, and the harder we try to hold on, the more tired and disappointed we feel. These reflections in the mirror, these beliefs about an I, that is the body, the mind, what is mine, are specific manifestations of our failure to clearly see the true, ever-changing nature of ourselves, which lacks any fixed entity. Part 2. The Unoccupied House. Why does clinging to the self cause affliction? After identifying the manifestations of clinging to the self, perhaps we can already sense, to some extent, that this very clinging is one of the primary causes leading to much anxiety, fear, disappointment, and affliction in life. Why is that so? Because, as we explored in episode 7 and reiterated at the beginning, what we call I is, in fact, just an ever-changing aggregation of 5 groups of elements: body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. There is no fixed master, no immutable I entity that truly exists independently in that house. When we don't understand this clearly, but stubbornly believe there is a solid, unchanging self, we will try to hold on to what inherently cannot be held forever. Because the self we cling to is actually a constantly changing flow, trying to make it stand still, unchanging, or exist forever is a futile effort and will surely lead to failure. We want the body to remain young and beautiful, clinging to my body, but the natural law is that it will age. This resistance causes anxiety, fear. We want feelings of joy, happiness to last forever, clinging to my feelings. But emotions always come and go. This clinging causes disappointment, regret. We want what is mine, possessions, relationships, to be always stable, not lost. But the reality is that everything can change. This attachment causes fear of loss, insecurity. It's like trying to build a beautiful sandcastle right at the edge of the waves. No matter how hard you try to protect it, the waves of change will sooner or later come and wash it away. If you cling too much to my sandcastle, you will be immensely pained when it collapses. Create distinction, opposition between I and not I. When we have a strong notion of the self, we will also automatically create a boundary, a clear distinction between I and others, between mine and others. This easily leads to selfishness, always putting my interests first, with little concern for others' feelings and needs. Comparison, competition. Is I better than others? Is mine better than others? These comparisons cause feelings of inferiority or arrogance, envy or contempt, conflict, disagreement. When my interests are threatened by others, or when my opinion differs from others' opinions, conflict very easily arises. Cause us to get stuck in vicious cycles of negative emotions. Anxiety. Fearing the self will be harmed. Fearing what is mine will be lost. Fear. Fear of change. Fear of old age, illness, death. things that threaten the existence of the self and my body. Disappointment, when the self doesn't achieve what it desires, or when what is mine is not as expected. Anger, when the self feels attacked, disrespected, or when what is mine is violated. Therefore, wise masters have pointed out that clinging to an illusory, non-existent self is the root of much affliction in life. It's as if we are holding a burning coal, mistaking it for a precious gem. The tighter we hold, the more we get burned, the more we suffer. Realizing that this house is actually unoccupied by a permanent owner is not to make us feel empty or meaningless. On the contrary, it is the door for us to step into true freedom when we are no longer bound and made miserable by illusions about the self. Part 3. Shedding the tight coat. Practical methods to overcome clinging to the self. So, we have understood more clearly the manifestations and harmful effects of clinging to a seemingly fixed self. Now, the important question is, how can we gradually shed the tight coat of this attachment? Are there specific practical methods to help us realize and overcome the illusion of an unchanging self? This is a journey that requires patience, mindfulness, and consistent practice. But the good news is, there are tools, methods taught by wise masters that help us, step by step, loosen this attachment. Practice deep observation and contemplation of oneself. Insight meditation, this is the core method. Spend time to truly look deeply into yourself, into what is happening within you, without hasty judgment or identification. Observe the physical body, as we discussed in Golden Key number 7, dwelling in the present, and number 8, inner calm and mental steadfastness. Practice feeling your body objectively. You will see it constantly changing. Breath in and out, cells being born and dying, sensations of heat and cold, tension and relaxation. Is my body of this moment truly identical to my body of the previous moment? Or is it just a continuous flow of material elements? Observe the stream of consciousness. Similarly, observe the emotions, thoughts, and ideas that come and go in your mind. Are they fixed? Or are they also just temporary mental phenomena, arising and then disappearing, like clouds drifting across the sky? Is this thought me, or is it just a thought that is present? When we practice such observation and contemplation regularly, we will gradually realize that both this body and this mind are not a fixed, unchanging I-entity, but just an aggregation of elements that are always changing and interacting with each other. Nurture compassion and empathy, as discussed in For Boundless Springs of Love. Episode 10. Compassion, love, and empathy are not only directed outwards towards others, but are also an incredibly effective antidote to reduce selfishness, the excessive focus on one's own self. When we open our hearts to connect with others, to feel their joys and sorrows, we will see that all of us, despite different circumstances, share basic aspirations for happiness, for peace, and all experience similar difficulties, similar low notes in life. This empathy helps us see the similarity, the connection between ourselves and everyone, instead of just focusing on our own separate self. Consequently, attachment to I and mine will naturally lessen. Example: when you participate in a charitable activity, helping those in difficult circumstances, you will feel the joy of giving and find that the problems of your own small self seem less important. Practice letting go, as discussed in The Art of Less is Enough. Episode 5. Letting go here doesn't mean we become apathetic, indifferent, or abandon all responsibilities. It means we learn to accept the reality that everything is constantly changing, nothing lasts forever, and we don't need to desperately try to hold on to or cling to them. Start by letting go of small daily attachments, like letting go of attachment to a favorite item, an ingrained habit, an opinion you hold to be right. Gradually, learn to let go of larger attachments, like letting go of attachment to fame, status, or even relationships that are no longer suitable. When we practice letting go, we will feel a lightness, a freedom from no longer being weighed down by the burdens of attachment. And we will also realize that, even when those things of mind change or are lost, our true essence remains unaffected. Contemplate the interconnectedness and interdependence of all things, the concept of dependent origination, or interbeing. Spend time reflecting on the fact that nothing, including yourself, can exist in complete isolation, separate from other elements. A flower cannot exist without seeds, soil, water, air, sunlight. Your body cannot exist without food, water, air to breathe, all of which come from the world outside you. Your thoughts, your knowledge are formed from learning, interacting with parents, teachers, friends, from books, from life experiences. Your happiness or suffering is also often affected by other people, by events happening around you. When you clearly see this interdependence, this intricate connection of all things, you will realize that the notion of a completely separate, self-existing I is actually an illusion. We are all part of a vast web of life, constantly interacting and influencing each other. This understanding will erode the belief in a selfish, separate self. Overcoming attachment to a fixed self is a long journey, requiring diligence, perseverance, and deep honesty with oneself. It's not about trying to destroy or negate ourselves. Rather, it's a process of identifying and letting go of illusions, misunderstandings about our true nature, so that we can live a freer, more authentic, and more peaceful life. Consider the magical mirror of self-observation and contemplation as your precious companion on this journey. Don't be afraid of what you might see in it, even if it might shake your ingrained beliefs. Because only when we dare to face the truth do we have the chance to truly liberate ourselves. So, we have looked quite closely into the magical mirror to identify and find ways to overcome the illusion of an unchanging self. This is indeed a topic that is not easy, but incredibly important if we wish to achieve true inner peace and freedom. I know these concepts might be a bit brain-twisting, but I hope everyone still found it interesting and gained something useful for your own journey. Remember, you are not your negative thoughts, you are not your fleeting emotions, and you are not limited by your roles or what you possess. Your true nature is much vaster, freer, and more beautiful than any fixed self you can imagine. Thank you very much for patiently listening and exploring this challenging yet profoundly meaningful topic with unlocking inner peace. If you feel these sharings, though perhaps a bit hard to digest, still brought some light to you, please don't hesitate to like, share, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss future episodes. Every bit of your support is a great encouragement for us to continue this journey. Wishing you a new week full of joy, many interesting self-reflections, and that you always find relief in knowing that you are not bound by any tight code of the self. See you all in the next adventures of unlocking inner peace. Have an energetic day.